to feel the heat clash till morning light. Zoids take the stance, steel against the flame. Through the stars they dance, war is their only game. Red horn shadow casts its thread, but we won't back down. Iron wills and metal hearts, we defend the ground. Hey, stars burning bright, feel the power, feel the fight. Hold your ground and never let it go. Mighty Zoids still leads us frozen time. Destiny's written under a blood red sky. Traitorous mammoth looming in the dark. Steel and fury gonna leave a mark. Red horse shadow plotting his fall. Got plans scheming, wants it all. The trail runs deep, rust in the veins. Never more echoes with torment and pain. Engines of war, creatures fill the air. Clash of titans, destruction everywhere. 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 Everywhere deep, rust in the veins. Mammoths roar, echoes with toes, torment and pain. Engines of war, screeches fill the air. Clash of titans, destruction everywhere. Everywhere. Gonna leave a mark. And pain, engines of war, screeches fill the air. Clash of titans, destruction everywhere. Everywhere. Gonna leave a mark. Everywhere. Gonna leave a mark. Gonna leave. Zoidstar's glow, the clash of titans roll by roll. In the tune of chaos we stand tall. With Mammoth's fall will never fall. Stars above tremble with our cries. Through the smoke we see those red eyes. Blaze of fury we never tire. Honesty in the line of fire. Victory on the edge. Swords race to the sky with great